Good afternoon and welcome to the May art demonstration presented by the Society of West Coast Artists. We are a membership organization, so we always encourage people to join if you're not already. We have a gallery here in San Bruno where I am located. And so it is a very nice venue with which to display your artwork. So there are benefits of membership, and we are hoping that you will consider joining after seeing this demonstration. We are very privileged today to have Denise McGill, a collage artist, be our artist for this month. Let me just tell you a little bit about Denise. Denise was extensively self-taught, studying master's techniques through the library resources. She taught drawing and watercolor to children and adults for 20 years before finally getting her master's degree in illustration from the Academy of Art University in San Francisco. She illustrated several children's books for Arrow Publishing and self-published the Fairy Tale Alphabet Book and the Fairy Tale Alphabet Book 2, along with 27 various craft books. She works in many media, including ink, watercolor, pastel, acrylic, oil, and most recently, collage. She has won many art awards, including most recently her SWA signature membership. She likes to tell people she is bilingual, art being her first and primary language. She loves children and art for and with children. This motivates her to create the cute and clever fairy composite photos using Adobe Photoshop. So I'd like to mention also that she has entered a couple of pieces into our current annual show here at the gallery. And in fact, one of her pieces won Best of Show for the annual. And I would like to just see if I can kind of show that to you. It's here over on my right shoulder, and it's on the wall. And you are welcome to come take a look at it and take a look at the other pieces that were entered in the show as well. I also wanted to mention that the SWA is having a pastel workshop with Deborah Shea. That is going to be on January 25th and 26th. And we have signups available on our website, the Society of West Coast Artists.com. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Denise. Denise, thank you.
Thank you. You didn't mean January, you meant June, I think?
I meant June, yes, sorry, I didn't know that I'd done that, sorry. It's
Just
June
checking.
25th, 26th.
I do that myself.
Yeah.
So the most asked question I get about my collage method is, how did I get started? And interestingly enough, back in 2009, when we had to move from a big house to a little apartment, I found in the garage, I had boxes of magazines, art magazines, National Geographics, all sorts of treasures that I didn't want to throw away, but didn't have the room to keep. And about that time, I found or just discovered online Derek Gores, who does a collage method very similar. And he was doing nudes. But I thought it was so intriguing that he took magazine and flyers and things like that and put them together to make this beautiful image of people and nudes and clothing and stuff like that. I thought I could do that. So after a couple of attempts at portraits, I came up with a technique that puts it all together in a way that I've loved. I've been doing the collage ever since then because it's just, it makes me feel very good about being ecologically sound. Magazines that would have been thrown away into some landfill, I'm using to repurpose into art. And it's challenging to get little pieces of paper to make a three-dimensional image. The materials that I use are mostly magazines. I've got some old wall calendars, lovely color in these. I've got some old magazines. The little pictures work perfectly sometimes if I can fit it in just right. Catalogs. Another calendar. And I found this skateboarding magazine has lovely paper and lots of color. Isn't that interesting? That something like that. Of course, I use a lot of art magazines as well, but I cut all the pieces small enough, almost postage stamp size, that I'm not really showing any copyrighted images because I've cut it into little pieces for just the color purposes. I put it all together with rubber cement. It's archival, but it almost doesn't matter because the magazines are not archival. And so, you know, I realize eventually those will turn yellow with age. However, I've been using it mostly to illustrate children's books and also making a little bit of wall art, but mostly for children's books, illustrations, and you use the digital image. You don't really keep it for the wall. So it won't really matter if it turns yellow with age. I put it on sometimes drawing paper. I glue it onto a nice heavyweight paper that will support the glue. And I always do the background first and build up from dark to light or light to dark. It doesn't even matter. It depends on the subject. Sometimes I'll start with the middle ground and put the darks and the lights next to it. As I find them, I go search, sometimes hours, searching through magazines to find just the right value and tone that I want, especially in faces. And the last thing I do is I add a few words because it's collage. I can do that. Something that will enhance the message or the focal point. And so I can get started unless anybody has any questions. I've got it all set up over here. This is my drawing of a rose. I'm going to start with the background. And I'm going to, I've picked a kind of a tan background, and I'm going to tear the background pieces. I'll just take out my rubber cement and start gluing it down. Starting at the top and working my way down. And as you can see, this is time consuming. I can spend as much as 20 hours on one piece, depending on the size. Picked a smaller one for today so that I can get more of it done. And now I'm going to go around my drawing very carefully because I don't want to lose my pencil lines. the rubber cement dries clear and it doesn't make the paper buckle. But depending on the weight of the paper, you can sometimes see that it's showing as a wet spot. That'll go away as it dries. I like the torn paper. It gives it a real rough, organic look. You can see this is a stairway, but it won't be when I'm finished. It'll be torn into such little pieces, you won't be able to tell that's what it was. And it's just the right value that I want for the background.
I should mention that if you have questions, you can write them in the chat, or if you want to, you can unmute yourself and then give your question verbally.
Well, sure.
So Denise, I have a question. Could you tell us a little bit more about your drawing? What is the subject?
This is a rose that I chose. I've got my reference right here.
Thank you.
The photo of this was taken on an iPhone, and I thought it was just too lonely all by itself, so I cut out another photo of a bud over here and attached it, and another one here. They do look cut out and attached, but in the finished product, it won't look quite like that.
Okay,
This is helping me with the shadows. I've always got to have a photo reference.
great.
Yeah, or I won't be able to guess where the shadows are lying. And I keep that down there so I can look at it.
Thank you.
So it's drawn on in pencil very lightly. It wouldn't matter, except I usually draw light. Because the pencil drawing is going to be completely covered up. So because this background part takes quite a bit of time, I went ahead and I drew this picture twice and completed the whole background. You can see I'm working on a slant here so that I can really see what I'm doing. I've already put on some leaves. I like to take just some green and tear it so it's very, very organic, very rough. For the leaves as well. And then I can go ahead and start on my rose. You can see I already searched through some of my files. Here I have files of different colors: tan, yellow, pink, green. But I've also got a file of just words and a file of photos. Small little things that just might work somewhere if I've got the right color scheme. So I keep that down there. And I put a few words in here in the background already, just for fun. I might or might not be able to incorporate this rose into the rose. Now I'm going to take my little scissors and I'm going to cut pieces to fit. And when the pieces get small, I take out my tweezers. It's just easier.
Excuse me, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Oh, well, this is lovely. And I wanted to know about your glue.
Oh, right. In the beginning, I mentioned it. It's just rubber cement.
Oh, okay.
It dries clear and it doesn't make the paper buckle, so that works really.
Oh, rubber cement and just a brush.
Well, the brush comes with it.
Oh. Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Where can we get that?
Oh yeah,
And-
you can get it almost anywhere. Art stores will sell an archival quality rubber cement, but sometimes I'll just get it at the grocery store.
And does that allow you to move pieces if you're not happy with where you put them down?
If I do it early enough, I can. If I change my mind early enough, otherwise it dries, it pretty much adheres to the background paper and
Okay,
then I'm stuck with it. Then I
Yep.
glue over it.
yes, okay.
I have changed my mind before where I was doing the face of a little girl who was facing downward and the sun was behind her. So she didn't have any shadows. Well, she didn't have any light on her face except reflected light. And I picked out a tan color that I thought would be perfect. And I cut out her face and glued on the eyes and the mouth. And then I thought, oh, she looks dead. She looked like a zombie. The tan I had chosen was rather a gray tan rather than a life, warm tan. And I just glued over it. There was nothing else to do. So I'll sit here and for hours sometimes and just cut little pieces of paper to fit.
You cut the little pieces all first, or?
No, I no, I cut the paper as I'm going. This is nice paper. It's good and heavy.
Did you mention, excuse me, how you found all this paper?
Yes, I did. I use well, people are always giving me magazines. The magazine has to have a good thick semi-shiny paper to it, lots of color. Somebody gave me a bunch of wine magazines and the cover was nice, but the interior paper was almost like newsprint. It was very flimsy and I couldn't use that. I'll also cannibalize old wall calendars that have nice color on them.
Does the shininess help?
The shininess helps, I think. Yeah, I don't want to mix a matte paper with a shiny paper, so I usually just pick the shiny paper. But I've also used from time to time Avon catalogs. Thought I had one in here. No, that's a wall calendar. Yeah, Avon catalogs are printed on, the cover is printed on pretty nice paper and has good color.
And are you using special scissors? They look different.
Yeah, I like the small scissors that can help me cut teeny pieces. See, I like them over the, and well, sometimes when I'm doing a lot of cutting, I'll just use a big pair, but the small ones are handy for cutting these small pieces. Obviously, I have on this petal created a shadow and a light spot and another shadow. But I think there needs to be a transition right here with a medium colored pink. And I will go searching. I've cut a few pieces out of magazines earlier. I'll go searching for just the right pink. To do a transition right there from light to dark. But I may do that later. Drop my scissors. I have a YouTube channel where I post once a week the latest collage I'm working on in very fast speed. I'll speed it up, and so it only takes 9 minutes where I spent 5 or 6 hours on the piece. This is where I need my tweezers.
What's the YouTube channel?
Oh, my YouTube, thank you. My YouTube channel is my name. If you go to YouTube and type in Denise McGill, my channel should pop up. And if you press subscribe, you'll get a notification every time I post a new video. This is much harder than oil painting or watercolor because I can't just blend the colors. I have to search for just the right transition color. But that's the challenge. That's the fun part. When I'm working on faces and fingers and things that you can see, I'm gluing over the pencil line and on a face, I don't want to lose my original drawing. I'll sometimes take out tracing paper and trace it. So I have a guide to fall back on as I'm losing my pencil lines.
How can you be sure the accuracy of the shapes that you cut out?
I can't. It's trial and error cutting these. I'll cut it and I'll look at it and decide if it's going to fit, and if not, I'll cut it again. I like using the blue paper because it gives me a middle value to start with. I can tell if I'm going too dark based on the blue paper. This blue, if you're using a value system 1 to 5, this would be a 3. Pieces with words on it don't bother me. I ignore the words pretty much till the end. I had a dear friend who purchased one of my roosters and noticed that it said, one of the words on the tail of the rooster, it said toxic leak something. And she noticed the word toxic and asked if I could glue a piece of blue over the top of that word. She bought it as a gift, for a housewarming gift for her son, who was born in the year of the rooster. And that was her gift. And I thought that was very sweet. So she asked as a special favor if I could glue the initials of her son and his wife. So on the tail, I just put A plus H for Aaron and Hannah. And they were very happy.
Denise, what about focal point? Do you worry about that at all as you're going along?
I'm mostly worried about that in the main drawing. But after I've got the main drawing in, I want to just keep my lights and darks and my values in the right places, and the focal point pretty much takes care of itself. I'm really happy to have learned how to work with Photoshop so that I can put photos together in a way that, you know, makes me happy. The piece on the wall that I cut best of show, I actually cut out the photo face of my granddaughter and pasted it on top of a photo of a girl leaning out of a car window. And that's what I used for my photo reference for that collage. Also, the car was blue. And so I used Photoshop to tint the car red instead for my photo reference. And that worked. I think this is going to be too dark for that shadow. So we'll find a different pink. I think that'll work. This rubber cement dries fairly quickly, so I like to keep the lid on while I'm working. The whole jar will dry up on me.
Is it easier to do people versus still life, or?
Not easier, more challenging to do people, definitely. Although the rose has some of the same round challenges. You've got to make it look rounded.
Mm-hmm.
I also get pieces stuck to my fingers. So sometimes I'll take out my X-Acto knife and pull up a piece so that another piece can go under it.
Is there a name for those special scissors? Just TV.
Just small, yeah. I like to use the small ones. It's good if they're sharp.
What if I was gonna buy those scissors?
I got these online from Amazon. They're Singer scissors, it says here. The last pair I got were Friskers.
Denise, maybe you could show us the reference photo again, just so we can see how you're progressing. Just compare them side by side. Yeah,
Yeah, can you see that? Is the light shining on it too much?
no, that's good. Looking at the lights and darks, yes.
I can see I've got this shadow too far over. I need to lighten it up. I'll just glue something over it.
Great, thank you.
Sometimes these little pieces work and sometimes they don't. So as you can see, I'm just going to keep going on and on, adding pieces and layers, even covering up some. and adding highlights and transition pieces if it needs it. And I'm dropping a bunch of pieces, so in the end, I'll have a room littered with little pieces of paper.
Denise, if you'd like to take a break, this might be a good time to do it. I don't know how close you are to finishing.
Okay, thank you. Not really close, actually,
Okay, then maybe good.
because
Now's
I've
a
got
good-
the buds here left to do too, but you get the idea.
So why don't we take a 10-minute break
Okay,
and be back at 2:15?
okay. Sure. Okay. Did anybody have any questions? Do you see anything written down?
All I've seen in chat is thank you for a great demonstration. So
Oh, okay. All right, I'll carry on. So did you hear about the cartoonist who was found dead in his apartment? The details are sketchy. Oh, golly. That's not right, is it? Heart jokes. A little heart joke.
Collage seems to be a good example of where you see things in shapes and not what objects are named.
Yes, I think so. And it almost takes an abstract feel, except that you're trying to create something representational,
Yes,
but everything becomes more geometric.
and it's all in hard edges.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the challenge. Making the hard edges work for you.
Yes. There's definitely an element of impreciseness with this collage that you're doing, and yet the pieces you cut, you don't seem to fiddle around very much with. You pretty much get them right the first time. Is that because of all the practice that you've had, or?
I
what would you-
imagine it is. I get to where I can eyeball pretty well what I want and where I want it.
It doesn't take you very many cuts on each piece.
When you started doing this like years ago, was it more difficult to determine the shapes and the size?
Absolutely. Years ago, when I first started this, it would take weeks to work on one piece because I was unsure of the value of where something would look better and how to make a good transition from one value to another using just these colored papers. I've often done faces of children in orange and purple, and it works because the value is right, even if the color is not. So I've gotten to where I don't even worry about the color as much as the value.
What made you determine not to keep at this?
Have you ever done a collage in just black and white?
No, I haven't. That does sound like fun. I did one face with just white pages with words on them and moved the words around so that they made the value I wanted, but I was never happy with it. I thought it needed something, some pizzazz. For me, that's color.
Mhm.
When I finish a piece, I'll typically hang it on the wall and just look at it for a while, several days, to see if something pops out at me that needs to be fixed or corrected or added. That's too light. And a middle pink.
Seems like this is a challenge when it comes to shading,
Yes.
cutting and putting pieces together that looks like it would. One piece that would shade or highlight another piece.
I think that's what intrigues me most. I like to keep doing it because the challenge is so, well, for me, intriguing. That's what makes it fun. I was gonna put a light piece right there, but the photo reference shows a shadow there.
You're actually doing a form of layering here, it looks like, where you're putting layers of paper on top of it.
Yes, actually I am. And wherever I see patches of blue, I want to try and cover them up. Then gauge whether I've got enough light, medium, and dark to keep the three-dimensionality. It's about this time that I would hang it on the wall and stand back and look at it for a while. And you can see that I do that a lot. I'm going to move my iPad so you can see that up here on the wall, I have a bunch of pieces that I've just finished not long ago.
So when you are actually done with a piece, do you go around and trim the edges then?
I never do. I don't bother. I could.
Okay, okay,
But no, when I frame it, I mat around it, and so those edges don't show.
sure, okay.
So I think I am just about there.
Okay, if anybody would like to ask any questions, you can either put it in the chat or unmute yourself.
Ooh, sorry. Getting shaky.
And maybe you could show the reference photo again.
Oh, sure, yes. Here's my reference. I think I
Beautiful.
need more shadow there.
Mhm. Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. It's been a pleasure watching you and put this collage together. It's very well done. And please, for those of you out there, be sure and come by the SWA Gallery in San Bruno. It's at 527 San Mateo Avenue. And there you will see two of Denise's pieces hanging on the wall, one of which won Best of Show in this annual show that we have going on now. And there are lots of other beautiful pieces of artwork. So please stop by. And while you're here, pick up a membership application if you're not already a member, and join the Society of West Coast Artists. So thank you all very much. And thank you, Denise. It was a very interesting and very beautiful demonstration. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Good.